All right, this lesson should be pretty short. It's just going to be a graphing review on how to graph all of our different types of lines, pulling back some things that we've learned before. So we've just got about 5 examples. Remember, this equation that you see right here, the equation that we've got right here is in standard form. And in general, if the numbers divide well, it's easiest to do cover-up method. So you may want to put a little star and just make a note that if they divide well, then you want to use cover-up method. So what I mean by that is we cover up and we make ourselves our 2 different equations. This is going to give us our intercepts. So think about if you cover up the y, my equation says 3x equals 12. And then if we do the other way and we cover up the x, my equation says negative 2y equals 12. All right, that's going to give us 2 pretty simple equations to solve. Either I can divide by 3, so x equals 4. Remember, that's an x-intercept, so 4 comma 0. And then y divided by negative 2, and y is going to equal negative 6, which will give us the y-intercept 0 comma negative 6. Remember, this is 2 points. I can graph 4 on my x-axis. This is my x-axis. I'm graphing the point 4. Negative 6 on my y-axis. All right, negative 6. And then I can just connect those and make my line. All right, that's the easiest way to graph a line like that. Now, in this example, the problem is that they don't divide very well. If I make my equation, my first equation is going to be 3x equals negative 8. Well, that's going to give me a fraction or a decimal and not a point that's easy to graph. So because it doesn't divide well, we don't want to do that method. We want to instead try to get y by itself. So I'm going to recopy my equation. I've got 3x plus 2y equals negative 8. I need to get y by itself so I can find the slope. So the first thing I need to do is I'm going to have to move this to the other side. So minus 3x. Remember, I have to use opposite so that I can move it. Then I'm left with, I've got 2y equals negative 3x minus 8. I write it in that order so that it reads mx plus b. If I said it the other way, the x wouldn't be where it needs to be. I want it to be kind of the first part there. And then I've got one more step to get y by itself, and that's to divide every single thing. So I'm left with y equals negative 3 over 2x minus 4. Now, this is something that you all have been pretty good at graphing. Remember, this is my slope, rise over run, and my beginning or my y-intercept, which is at negative 4. So I'm going to start at negative 4, and then we want to go, it's negative 3 over 2, so we want to go down 3 and forward 2. Or we can do the opposite to go up 3 and backwards 2. Now, in your notes, I know you don't have graph paper, so just draw yourself a little grid. It's not got to be perfect, and just make a few points so that you remember how to get a simple graph like this on the line. Okay, some other ones that we've seen so far. Remember, x equals 4 is going to cut through the x-axis at 4. So I'm going to find 4 on the x-axis. It's got to cut straight through there. So it's going to go straight, try to draw on the line a little better, straight up and down. All right, there's my x equals 4. That's not perfect. Hopefully yours is better. All right, y equals 3. Going to do the same thing, except we're going to cut through the y-axis at 3. You can put these on separate graphs if you want to. I'm just doing this so that we can see the difference between the different ones. X equals 4. Now, y equals negative 2x down here. If it's got a y and an x, it is not going to be a straight up and down or a straight horizontal line. It's going to have to be some type of diagonal line. This is secretly y equals mx plus b. Remember, if there's nothing out there, it's just plus 0. So we start at 0. To make negative to a fraction, we put it over 1, so that's down 2, forward 1. or we can go up 2 and backwards 1. Want to make sure that you know how to go in all the different directions. Okay, so that's what y equals negative 2x looks like. Okay, this is our most important slide, and what I've already done is I've already made the points for us on our graph, and I haven't connected them for a reason because I want to talk to you about maybe how to shade these, just give you a brief reminder. You all are really, really good at looking at this symbol and knowing that that is supposed to be solid. Remember that your choices are solid or dashed. You know that that's closed, so you know that's going to be solid. So my line is going to be a solid line here. And then that says greater than, so I'm going to shade up, which means I need to shade above that line, so I'm just shading this direction. You do not have to give a perfect graph of that in your notes, but you just kind of get a rough sketch of that so that you remember solid, and I'll write it here again, that this is above because it's greater than. All right, y is less than 4. This right here is going to be an open circle, and since we're talking about a line, it's dashed. Again, you all are really good at knowing that, so I want a dashed line that's going to go through that section. And it's less than, so now we're going to shade below. So we're shading the bottom half of the graph. Okay, the last two, we used to have to solve for y, and instead of doing that, I kind of want to give you a little bit of a shortcut, so I hope that this makes sense. By looking at this, you should already be able to tell that this is going to be dashed. That part I'm not worried about. So if I make my line here, it's just going to be a dashed line. Remember, your notes, you can just give a rough sketch of this. The part that I want you to really see, though, is right here. It says negative y is less than 4. Remember, when you have a negative that you're going to divide by, it's going to flip the symbol. So the shortcut is if y is negative, then it's opposite of what you think. So this symbol would normally tell me to shade below, but because y is negative, so you can write that in your notes, because y is negative, we want to do the opposite, which means here we really want to shade above. So I'm going to shade above up here. If you're struggling with how to see what's above and below, we can look at that again tomorrow. All right, and this last one, we'll look at it also. This last equation, so if we look at our symbol, this is telling me to do solid. So I'll connect my points, make myself a solid line here. And then it says below, and we want to check, is my y negative? And if you look, no, y is positive, so we're going to do the same. We're going to shade below. Remember, I'll help you with that if you're kind of struggling with what I'm saying, but hopefully a few of you kind of catch on to what I'm saying there. All right, that's all you need to know for our lesson tomorrow. Should be a good one.